foodie friends, we are back again with another cookbook from Foxfire. If you've seen the last couple of episodes, you know that we went into the Foxfire's cookbook of wood stove cookery. This week, I went on eBay and I found their anthology cookbook, and I'm so excited to try it. Now, this week was a little bit different for us because Mitch had to pick up some extra shifts at work, and so we really didn't have time, or well, he didn't have time to really build a fire in the rocket stove and do like an extra lot of things like that. And we were also kind of struggling with a sweet tooth that we've had for the last couple of days. So desserts just started to sound really good to us. Now, I don't have a little oven yet for that rocket stove. So this week we'll actually have to use the conventional oven, but I think it's going to be a really, really good recipe anyway. Now, in looking through these desserts, there were so many good ones to choose from, but I decided to narrow it down to a pound cake. Now, pound cake is really popular in the South for one very big reason. So Mitch did a little bit of digging on pound cakes in the South and discovered that they didn't really become kind of a staple food of the South until Mrs. Fisher's What Mrs. Fisher Knows About Old Southern Cooking came out, one of the very first cookbooks ever written by an African American. This woman was a slave, and after she was freed, wrote this cookbook in 1881. There are pound cakes in here, and after that, they exploded in popularity. And this cookbook by Foxfire is actually not that different. There were several pound cakes to choose from, and it was really hard for me to pick which one I wanted to do, but we finally settled on one called $1 Million Pound Cake, because with a name like that, you know it has to be good. So let's go ahead, turn this camera around, and hurry up and make this cake so we can eat. Okay, guys, I'm interrupting this episode. So I did something. I've made a mistake with this cake, but there's just too much sugar and eggs and butter to throw it out and start over again. I don't think it's that bad. It's not that level of a mistake. And there's just too much ingredients to waste. So I'm committed. I'm just gonna go with it and we're gonna see what happens at the end. But I'm gonna show you the recipe. I'm gonna show you what I did. Okay, so right here you see that this needs 4 cups of flour. Now, when I have seen that, in particular, like when it doesn't say all-purpose or self-rising, usually I look to see if there's any baking soda or salt, and if there isn't, I assume they mean self-rising. And if there is baking soda and salt in it, I assume they mean all-purpose. So I didn't see baking soda and I didn't see salt, so I used self-rising, which that's on me. I should have looked up other pound cakes to see for sure instead of just assuming. And that's a lesson learned for me because sometimes your assumptions work and obviously sometimes they don't. And this time it didn't. So I'm going to show you the inside. Okay. I'm going to show you the inside of my oven. So you kind of get a good idea of what's going on, which I'm sure some of you watching this have already guessed what this is going to look like. But here you go. Here it is. Okay, you guys ready? Ah, look at that. Oh, no. Oh, the cleanup job I'm going to have on that one. And I'm going to blame my mom a little bit on this one too. Because I called her and I was like, hey, there's no baking soda or salt in this cake. I said, do you think they assume salt self-rising? And she was like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna throw mom under the bus just a little bit and say that she edged me onto this. So you could have stopped me, Mom, but you didn't. So, but it's okay. It still has a lot of butter and sugar in it. So I'm assuming it's still gonna taste good, right? It's just gonna be just a little bit of it at the bottom of my oven instead of all compacted into this bundt pan. So it's okay. We'll see. I'm gonna let it keep cooking. We're gonna follow this all the way to the end and see what happens. Okay, so I have skewered it. It's done. Let me show you the big reveal here. All right, and voila! Oh, this is such a mess. Oh, yep, there we go. That's a mess if I ever saw one. But like I said, it's, it's still butter and sugar, so it's gotta taste good, right? Okay, so mistakes were made. Just one major mistake, actually. The rest of it turned out okay. You can see it actually still turned out really pretty after I cut off a bowl of these like little hard crusts that fell over the edge. Incidentally though, these actually taste pretty good.
It's like little pound cake cookies.
It is like little pound cake cookies, and the sugar caramelized. So, and I mean, of course I ate it. So, I don't know. We'll figure something out to do with this. I don't even know. But the rest of the cake turned out nice and spongy and really good. So let's go ahead and try the actual cake. Okay. Let's just try another bite just to make sure.
It's what I suspected. It doesn't matter what flour you use, so long as you have enough butter and sugar, it's gonna taste good either way. I can see why they named this the $1 million pound cake.
Yeah.
Because it turned out beautiful. Now, I know, I always called this a bundt cake.
Okay.
So, to me, when I read pound cake, and I'm not sure where I got this from. I don't know if it's, because I watch, like, some English cooking shows and stuff like that. And I always assumed a pound cake was in a square loaf pan.
Right.
So that's kind of what I expected. But apparently in the South, this is, you put your pound cake in a bundt pan.
Right.
So,
it's the same cake, just a different shape.
Yeah, so, it's a different shape. It doesn't matter. It's still lots of sugar and butter, so it's going to taste good no matter what kind of loaf pan you put it in. Now, and this is on me. And this is a really good lesson on listen to your instincts, because as I was putting it in the pan, I was sitting here thinking, that's a lot. That's like a lot of batter.
Yeah.
And I almost cut it in half and put the rest of it in some loaf pans.
Right.
Just like, so if I had done that, it would have risen and it would have been beautiful.
Right.
I would have had 3 cakes instead of one really big one with half of it at the bottom of my oven. So, I should have just listened to myself. So that's a good lesson. If your instincts while you're cooking is telling you something, just go ahead and do it. Don't question it. So yeah, and I've already explained like the flour difference that I used and the reason why I did that. So lesson learned, I should have listened to the wisdom of all the little grannies in this cookbook that knew better than me. And when they said flour, they meant plain flour.
Yeah.
Stop it with the self-rising.
Yeah.
But we have had cookbooks that have burned us on that too.
Yeah.
But in this case, the cookbook was correct.
Right.
Some older cooks they kind of just assume you know some things.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good lesson too about why we didn't recommend the previous cookbook for beginners. Mm-hmm. Because I've been cooking for 14 years now, basically every day, and I still made the mistake.
Right.
Of misreading or misassuming this recipe. So it's very easy to do even for more experienced cooks that are unfamiliar with maybe the vernacular of a particular cookbook.
Right.
And for beginner cooks, some of it can just be really confusing and kind of turn you away from cooking, and that's not what we want.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely need something that you understand and not and sometimes I think just knowing that you don't understand a thing would help you keep from making some of the mistakes. I think it's kind of like with anything. It's like you got to know what you don't know.
Right,
you know
exactly. What I mean? Yeah, and it's, it's okay. I learned a lesson. Hopefully, someone watching learned a lesson.
Somebody else can learn something from our mistakes.
Listen to your cooking instincts. They're usually right. And grannies from Georgia know more about cooking than you do. So, just listen to them.
Yeah.
But as far as the cake,
still excellent.
5 stars.
Yes, very good.
Hands down. We have to share this with my parents. I'm sure they're going to love it too. Now, one thing I will say about it, usually with a bundt cake, there's some kind of glaze that you drizzle on it. No.
It's sweet enough.
It is a true pound cake. Yeah. I'll eat this slice. I may regret it after because it's a lot. It is so buttery and sugary. So I don't touch it with a drizzle. if you're into really rich cakes, or if you just want something super sweet once in a blue moon, this is an excellent cake to go with.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to really pizzazz your friends at a party or something like that, I would pull out this $1 million pound cake, and I'm sure they will absolutely go crazy about it. It's soft, it's moist, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Just use the correct flour and you will not have a mess in your oven.
Or use this flour and split it into a bunch of little pans.
No. Yeah, if you want to make more than one bundt cake, just, you know, believe me, you will have enough.
Yeah.
And as far as the cookbook, I have really enjoyed this one. There was a lot of stories in our previous one from older cooks growing up in Georgia, and a lot of their memories and stuff like that. This is very, very North Georgia centric. So you're getting mountain cooking, you're getting Appalachian cooking.
Right.
You know, not like your Atlanta or Savannah or something like that cooking.
Your, like coastal or
not like a coastal, but it's fascinating to read. If this is any indication, then the rest of the recipes are going to be just as good.
Yeah.
Now, next week, we're going to explore this again, and we're going to go back more into like the savory. We'll make a dinner. And so we tested out the desserts. The desserts was awesome. So next week, I have a lot of high hopes for the dinner entrees. So stick around for that one. And we're really glad that you watched this. I hope you got a good laugh out of it like I did and learned a lesson. And we'll see you next week, and hopefully that one will turn out better. So we'll see you then. Bye.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.